Hello and welcome to our accessibility mini workshop designed to help you improve your skills around accessibility best practices. We at the Colorado Department of Public Safety are committed to full inclusion of all individuals. We recently also celebrated Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Let's begin with some background information. Those of you who may have attended or seen our prior trainings will find this ringing a bell, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate. House Bill 21-1110 builds on the existing Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA standards, and makes it a state civil rights violation for a government agency to exclude people with disabilities from receiving services or benefits because of a lack of accessibility. This broadens the scope now to digital accessibility standards, and it'll go into effect July 1st of 2024, at which point legal repercussions could fall on each agency that is in non-compliance. This could include monetary fines, but in a larger perspective of the why we are doing this, and the more important reason is that we need to make this shift because it's best practice, it's the right thing to do, and furthermore, it aligns with CDPS's mission of delivering critical public safety to all in Colorado. It's also very much in line with having and providing superior customer service. When we think about formatting and structure, which is the focus of today's mini workshop, it's important to keep in mind certain best practices. So when we start with any kind of documentation, it's important that you should make use of a short title that indicates the contents of the page. Furthermore, use bullets to organize text and break up any large chunks of written data. Reserve underlining only for hyperlinks. It can be very confusing, both when someone is using a screen reader or any user right now, because they will think that if anything is underlined, that it is a hyperlink, and they'll try to click on it only to find out it isn't. And that can be confusing and frustrating to users. So if you want to bring attention to something, instead of underlining it, bold it or italicize it. Fonts also play a huge part in readability. At a minimum, use a 12-point sans serif font because they are more readable and easier on the eyes. Trebuchet is our state of Colorado brand standard, so the preference is that we use Trebuchet. Finally, when you're aligning text, keep it left aligned rather than justifying it to avoid any wonky or irregular spaces in between text. As you can see, you can access the alignment from the shortcut toolbar, and right over here is the left align. Down here is an example of what happens when something is justified. You can see that there are irregular spaces between the words, so it can be visually very distracting and harder to read. Other things to consider. Let's talk about heading structure. So when you start writing a document, everything defaults to normal text. Everyone, irrespective of abilities or disabilities, benefits from having a logical structure to the content. Hierarchy is important. So start with heading 1, then organize your content into heading 2, heading 3, etc. This is different from just changing the level of your bullet points, and it's different from the look and formatting of your font. This is more to do with in-page navigation for assistive technology devices like screen readers, and how they will jump from one section or one heading to another. So if you start with heading 1 and then jump to heading 3 and then back to heading 2, it can get very confusing and frustrating. I want to quickly show you an example of what I mean when I say it's different from the formatting. So for example, over here we have a document. It's a simple document about how to make a sandwich. And you can see that there are different headings. On the face of it, it looks very logically organized. It has a heading structure. However, you will notice that even though I've made the font bigger for certain things to depict that it's a title, when I go and click on how to make a sandwich, look over here, it says normal text. Also, in the outline, there is no hierarchy defined. This is a clear indication that I've only tried to do this through formatting and changing the font size or bolding something rather than assigning it a heading structure. So we need to fix this. So one way we can do this is that we'll highlight this part that needs to be a heading 1. I'll go up here, click on this, choose heading 1. Now, either I can apply a heading 1 pre-assigned formatting style to this, or if I like the way I formatted it, I can go ahead and say update heading 1 to match. Notice nothing changes in the look and feel of it. However, it becomes a heading 1 and it now shows up on the outline. So next step would be procedure is coming under heading 1. So I can make this heading 2. And same way, update it to match. This remains normal text because it's part of that. But you can now see how I can start organizing my heading structure into logical hierarchy. Benefits can become part of heading 3 because it's nested under heading 2, so on and so forth. The benefit of this is now an assistive technology device or any other user can really use this outline to jump from one section to another. So I wanted to quickly bring that to your attention so that we can understand the value of using a heading structure. It's also important to understand that color alone should not convey meaning. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't use color, but that you provide an alternative way of communicating the same information. So for example, a poor example would be, see my edits in blue. If someone is colorblind or has difficulty differentiating color, they will not understand what blue is. So if I'm saying this report contains information about the measurement, they won't be able to understand what the edits were if you're just conveying that understanding through the color. Or if I said proceed with these items, meaning proceed is green and not proceeding is red, and then I list those out, again, we don't know what is green, what is red. So what do I proceed with? What do I hold back on? A better way to do this would be to use extra cues in addition to the colors. So for example, see my edits in bold italics. That would be easier to differentiate. Or I differentiate using both color as well as a separate list. So proceed with these items, that's make a plan, wait for these items, pull together people, write a report. So this way I'm not relying solely on color to differentiate the meaning of it. So let's go ahead and see some other examples. We do have opportunities to practice, and we can show you a few more examples here. So over here, you can see that we've got some different practice areas here. And what we're trying to fix is this section right here. It says it has a few different errors attached to it. So for example, we have noticed just by the look and feel of it how this area is bigger, this title seems to be bigger, or this heading seems to be bigger than this one. If I click on it, this is assigned heading 2 versus this is assigned heading 1. We need to fix that. So let's take this, make it into heading 1. Let's take this, highlight, make it into heading 2. So now it's nested properly. There are other things here. For example, hi, Amy, thank you for that response, an important question. I try to click on it, nothing's happening. Why? I'm thinking this is a hyperlink, it really isn't. So does this need to be underlined? No. So we should remove the underline from here. Other things, my answers are in blue, Alex's are in brown, Jeff's are in green. So instead of doing that, I can write out the names here. I can leave that color bit for people who can actually see color and would still use it, but then I make it inclusive for people who cannot access meaning through color alone. Other things that I'm considering here are the font. So notice that the font is this strange kind of artistic font. Instead, we want to change everything to trebuchet. We want to make sure that it's at least a 12-point font for readability. So as you can see, these are some other examples of how we can make sure that our writing is all accessible and easy to read. So this also needs to be trebuchet. There we go. Okay, so coming back now, you can definitely practice this on your own documents, but I do want to reiterate that we can now register in SABA, complete this training, and you can get credit for this as well. You can show that to your supervisor. You can demonstrate that you are working towards making your documents accessible, not just your documents, but that you have a goal of making sure that you are promoting inclusivity within CDPS. So do check out the formatting and structure course. Take a short quiz. You'll get credit for it and work towards your accessibility goals. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your support. Have a wonderful rest of the day.